Played Dark Souls. Like the first one. I never played through the first one, but it's really good. It's fucking hard.
Yeah. Here lately, it's been pretty hard.
Zing.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Midnight Monster Corner podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Frosty. Alongside me, as always, is Corey Peak.
What's up?
And a returning guest, possibly full-time co-host. We got Tony Arroyo in the house.
What's up, man? Going on? What's going on?
I gotta ask because I've known you for a long time. Sadly, as acquaintances, I would have liked to have been able to hang out with you more back in the day. But do you still go by Oreo?
You know what, man? I don't hear that very often. I always hear Tito now. Everyone calls me Tito. So.
Tito. Okay.
Yeah. Believe
That's
it or not, Tito. Yeah.
Where does that come from?
I don't even know. I think Corey, did Wes come up with that?
Yeah. So he called you Tito.
Yeah.
I've always called you Oreo.
Yeah, you've always called me Oreo, but now he's got everybody at work calling me that. So now everyone calls me Tito. I don't even go by Tony anymore. I'm thinking about just getting it changed. Just get my name changed to Tito.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. People still call me Frosty.
Yeah.
I think the only people that don't is people at work. I don't try to use that nickname much, especially around my uncle, who's my boss, because when you try to like bring your inner circle out to your family and stuff, and it's like, Frosty, what kind of stupid name is that?
Well, my favorite thing is when your wife she's like Daniel, and I'm like, who the hell's Daniel?
Yeah.
Funny still, it still kind of gets to me. I'm like, no, his name's Frosty.
Funny story. Daryl, who I record the Loop Bros podcast with, shout out. We hung out for years before he ever heard my voicemail on my phone, I guess. And he always called me Frosty. So he called one day, tried to get in touch with me, and it went to a voicemail where on the voicemail I was like, "You've reached Daniel, leave a message." He hung up the phone, didn't leave a message, thinking he got the wrong number. I was like, "No, dude, that's my name." I'm like, I just don't go by Frosty on my voicemail in case like an employer tries to call or something. That would be weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good to have you back, Tony.
I appreciate you guys having me back, man.
Oh yeah.
So I guess we'll kick this thing off. We don't really have like a set agenda, like I'm so used to having like A, B, C, D agenda that we do at on my other show, but this is kind of like more of a freelance discussion about each movie that we've been into, or sometimes it's random, sometimes it could be even watching through a certain series and we might talk about it. Like I'd really like to do an in-depth discussion on Tremors. Probably the most tame movie we'll talk about, considering most of them are PG-13 or PG, which I never knew until recently. But great movies. They're classics. The first one still holds up so well to this day.
Oh man, the first Tremors is like a bona fide classic, man.
It's so good. And the thing that blows my mind about that one is a lot of people have seen it. Like, I don't think I've met anyone who's never seen Tremors.
I don't think, now that you said that, I don't think I've ever met anyone that hasn't seen Tremors either.
Yeah, like even my wife's seen them, and she was, I don't want to say uncultured, but there was a lot of movies she missed out on growing up, like classics, like Braveheart. My wife had never seen Braveheart.
Really?
And, yeah, so we sat down and watched Braveheart. She kept giving me a hard time about it because she's like, "This is a chick flick." I'm like, "No, it isn't." Well, maybe it is, but it's fucking awesome.
Sorry, William Wallace. He's a badass.
I know. He shoots lightning from his ass.
Comes from the fucking Claymore.
He's 11 feet tall and shoots lightning from his arse.
I feel like a lot of people have seen Tremors. I feel like it was one of those movies that was always on the Sci-Fi Channel. Like you always saw it on Sci-Fi.
Yeah.
So probably, a lot of people probably saw it through just watching cable and flipping through channels, and then, oh, this looks interesting. Let me stop here. And then it's just one of those movies where if it's on, you just got to stop. You got to sit down and watch it. You can't get up. So
yeah, most definitely. And
Yeah.
the thing I love about them is like the first two, like I said, they still hold up very well to this day. And then for the third one on, just they got a little bit cheesier as they went along, but it's like that good sci-fi horror cheese.
oh yeah.
They're fun films. They really are. I've been rewatching a lot of them here recently, and I'm back on the fourth one, which I haven't seen in a very long time. And I just like it's the one that takes place in the Western times, which makes no sense. But whatever. Um, then apparently there's a fifth one called Bloodlines, which I never knew about. I think it takes place in Africa. And then there's the newer one that came out in 2018, Cold Day in Hell. So really looking forward to checking that out.
I wonder if
Yeah.
they. I wonder if they ever got Kevin Bacon for that one. So I knew that they were trying to fight for Kevin Bacon to be on it. I wonder if they ever got him.
No, I don't think they did. Unless he has a cameo somewhere in the movie. I know the last two, Bloodlines and Cold Day in Hell, star Michael Gross and Jamie Kennedy.
Ugh.
Jamie Kennedy. Wow.
I like that little cringe there.
Yeah. I mean, I watched him in the last movie, and it was like, I mean, he really looks like he let himself go. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I haven't seen him pretty much since what was that movie where he was this white thug?
No, that was Malibu's Most Wanted.
Malibu's Most Wanted. That was the last one I seen from him.
I got a
And, he
game
was.
cast.
Oh, that movie. Nah, he'll always be Randy from Scream for me.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Oh yeah. He'll always be his movie knowledge and his love of slasher films always spoke to me. So he'll always be Randy to me.
Such a good character.
Yeah, he'll never live that character down.
He had to die in the second one. Like, God.
Oh, that was one of the biggest mistakes that they made in that franchise was killing his character off. I don't know why they did that.
And the way they did it, like just randomly killing him in a van. Like, what?
Yeah,
Did I tell you that? He didn't even get to die a hero.
No,
no.
Such a flawed. I mean that franchise is but that was definitely a big mistake they made in that second one. Should never happen.
Like what you said. I mean, his book of knowledge on horror films. You would think that he would have outlasted. He would have survived somehow because of just the vast knowledge that he had going into the films.
He knew all the tropes. Yeah, he knew all the tropes, man. He knew everything before. I mean, obviously from watching the movies, but that's where I found out. Actually, watching Scream 2 is where I first heard about all those really college themed slasher films like Final Exam and stuff like that. Like he ran them all off, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool. I need to check these movies out." So most of those films I've checked out was from his references in that movie. So it was really cool. I like how he lined them all off and just started saying them all off at one time. It was really cool, man. Some good ones in there, like House and Sorority Row. Like there was some. Yeah, he let off some good ones, man. So that's where I first heard about most of them. But yeah, they should have never killed his character. That was a big mistake.
Yeah. I personally, I mean, it's hard to beat the first one.
Oh yeah,
but the first one was so good. I personally enjoyed, the trilogy there. I still have yet to watch 4. I was really excited when they announced it and they released it, and I wanted to go see it in theaters. I can't remember what I was doing at the time. I just never had a chance to go see it, and then it hit DVD, and I was like, hell yeah! I still haven't seen it.
I actually didn't mind it. I thought it was quite good.
That's what I hear. I hear that they did it justice. So that's good to hear. Because it had been a long time.
And I know they're in talks. Well, I think they've got the ball rolling on the 5th one now. And
that's what I hear.
Yep, I think Nev Campbell's actually signed up.
Really?
So that's going to be pretty interesting, man.
Okay. Yeah, I think I read something on that too.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that. I'm a big believer in, if it's perfect the way it is, don't try to bring it back. Like they tried it with Ghostbusters and fucked that up, and then they're I don't know. There's so many movies they're trying to bring back, and they're butchering it. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, every now and then there might be a gem where they come back and they're like, hey, this is a nod. This is a tribute to the fans. Like we're fans of this franchise. We're not gonna mess it up, and that's always good to see. But you know, there's just some movies out there that I'm like, don't do it. And I'm actually the same way with games too. Like when we actually talked about this last night on Lou Bros podcast, but you know, they're talking about bringing back a remake in Resident Evil 4, and I'm like, why? Like the game's it's not really that old, and the game's perfect the way it is. Like don't try to bring it back, remake it, and fuck it up. Like just leave it the way it is. It's perfect.
I figured they'd get on that trend when they re-up the Resident Evil 2 and 3. I figured they just keep knocking them all out and stuff like that, man.
Yeah. Now I would love to see a Code Veronica remake. Like that's the one I'm waiting on. So
no doubt, man. I haven't played that years, man.
So good.
That would be an awesome one.
But you know, just but I know we're not here to talk about games. Even though I can talk about games, especially horror games.
Oh yeah.
We might need to do a series on horror games one week. That'd be pretty cool. But
down for that.
So, Corey, you want to kick this off? Let the listeners know what movie we'll be talking about here.
Yeah. So, just a quick disclaimer first. There's probably going to be spoilers in this. So if you haven't seen it, highly recommend you just stop right here, go check out the movie before you continue on. But with that, just a quick synopsis of it. The overnight stock crew of a local supermarket finds themselves being stalked and slashed by a mysterious maniac. And that's that.
So yeah, fun little fact: Sam Raimi directed this movie. That is the same Sam Raimi that directed Spider-Man. Now, and Evil Dead.
Oh yeah, that's the big one.
Yeah. So, I had a fun little discussion last night about that, and there was a lot of debate on whether or not the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans were good. I'm like, yeah, they were good. The third one sucked ass, but I really enjoyed the first two.
I really enjoyed the second one. But yeah, man, he had a little cameo in this movie. Well, not really a little cameo. He was in the movie for quite a bit, but him and his brother Ted were in the movie, which was pretty cool. I see the Raimi brothers in there as a couple of the ill-fated victims of the maniacal slasher villain.
Yeah. I love how Ted Raimi's character in the cast is casted as Produce Joe. Doesn't have a last name. Like, none of these people have last names. It's just Produce Joe.
Yeah. Yep. Just pretty much cannon fodder, just bodies. That's all they were serviceable for. Because really, in any slasher film, and this one holds true to this one, when you're talking about a slasher film, you're not really going to get a lot of story. It's basically a stalk and slash, just one set piece after another of gory kills, and that's what you get. You get that in droves in this movie. There are some amazing kills in this movie. Yeah. Absolutely phenomenal kills. So.
They were brutal.
So brutal, man.
So, what's your favorite?
Corey, you want to go, man, or?
Yeah, we can. Yeah. Let's see. My favorite would probably have to be the Saw. I mean, the way that face gets cut in half. I mean, it's pretty realistic.
Absolutely, man. That's definitely my favorite. The meat cutter Saw. I mean, that kill is gnarly. Absolutely gnarly.
What happens is when he hits the teeth, like the blades, like they made it to where the blade was kind of like artificially, like, what's the word? Jarring, like as it was cutting through. So it gave this realistic sense, like it was actually cutting hard bone and teeth. It was kind of weird how they did it, but it was brutal, man. That was a hard one to watch.
Yeah, it was, man. Funny story about that kill, man. I had a Fangoria, and the cover was that kill, and I remember it prominently because I had that Fangoria before I even watched the movie. So I remember that cover so well, and I'm like, that is just gnarly. So then I watched the movie, and I was like, man, I love the way they shot that, the way it looks. I mean, it's so cool, man. But damn, I still wish I had that Fangoria somewhere. I don't know where the hell it got to, but Yeah, I used to flip the pages on that, and just I think there were some stills of the movie and some kills, and man, I knew looking at it, I was like, I got to see this, man, because these kills are just they're on point, you know. And so it's so far removed from the heyday of slasher films. I mean, I know the heyday was from I want to say 1980 to 1980. I want to say 85 started to tail off a little bit, but this came very, very later. I mean, 1989, which for me, this is like one of my favorite horror films to come out of that year. There's some good ones in there, but this one to me is just one of my favorites, man.
That was a good one. Yeah, I had never seen this one before, and Corey brought it to my attention, and we watched it together, and it was good. Like it had it had some of the '80s cheese, but it was just like you said, man. Set piece after set piece was just good old fashioned slasher films. But it was very creative kills. You know, like one of my favorites in the movie was probably when he crushed his was it the cardboard compactor?
Oh yeah, the Baylor.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Because I love that scene too because it's so blatantly fake. And like I don't know, you could tell he's just holding a dummy and crushing like a watermelon or something. I don't even know. It was nasty sounding. Like it sounded like a balloon.
Yeah, that's actually my second favorite kill. Actually, man, it was a toss up between that and the meat saw, but that one's pretty gnarly as well. I really enjoyed that one.
And shout out to our buddy David Prince. He could probably relate with that meat saw because he used to work in the deli at Bilo or Food Line, one of the two. He had actually cut his hand open on one. So those things ain't no joke. Yeah, he had cut it bad, man. He had to have stitches. But it cut it open, and he actually filmed his hand. He did a video of it. He was moving his fingers. You can see his tendons.
Oh,
it was nasty.
That's gnarly.
Yeah. Next time we hang out, you need to remind me, Corey. I'll get him to show it to you. If he can.
He still has that video?
He's got to.
Yeah, I'd probably check that out.
It's so disgusting. Yeah. Got a scar on his hand and everything. But some notable cast in the movie. Of course, we talked about Sam Raimi, director. He played a small part in the movie as Randy. And Ted Raimi, his brother, played Produce Joe. This movie, you had actually mentioned this to me, Corey. The original DVD box art was touting Bruce Campbell as like a star in the movie.
It was. So yeah, I believe it was in Anchor Bay, I believe it was. And I picked it up at Scratch and Spin, the place that we always talk about. And yeah, I picked it up before I got the Synapse version. And on the front cover, it says, introducing Bruce Campbell or something like that. It literally says like starring Bruce Campbell, Intruder, and it's like, oh, that was a selling point. So automatically you pick it up thinking you're going to get a Bruce Campbell film, in which you do not. He's in like the last 2 minutes of the film.
Literally the last couple minutes of the film.
Mm-hmm. But they used his name as a selling point, I think, in the film.
It's kind of like using Jackie Chan to sell a movie. We've talked about
that. Yes.
But yeah, that was actually something I was reading up on. Originally, they had marketed it as Sam, Ted, and Bruce all being big star, like prominent stars in the movie, like main protagonists, and none of them were. Like they were just like you said, they were just cannon fodder. Well, except for Bruce Campbell's character, but still, like it was just, they marketed it as that, and a lot of fans of this movie agree that the movie was kind of poor marketed because it's like they used Bruce Campbell as a selling point for the movie, and I guess the movie just didn't, it still didn't gain a lot of traction because of that. But which sucks because it's a great film.
Yeah. So. Well, I mean, when I look at Raimi, at least he had a good bit of screen time. He was actually in it for a little bit. So
sure.
I mean. Sure. You get it with Sam, but with Bruce is literally the last couple minutes of the film. So, yeah, they really mismarketed that, which is normal. they'll do that to get the movie out there. The biggest name that they can come up with, even if it's a small cameo, they'll throw it out there like they're the lead, or they have more prominent screen time. And
Right.
I mean, it's such a common use thing that I think sometimes it really does hurt, because if a person goes into a film thinking that, hey, you're going to get a lot of screen time with this actor, and you don't get it, they automatically assume the film is garbage. Like, oh, it's terrible because it's not the person I thought that was going to be in the lead, or they already assume that it's a bad film and this and that. But I'm kind of glad. I mean, um, genre fans know this movie well. You hear a lot of talk about Intruder as being one of those top tier 80s slasher films a lot, and they kind of know that, even though those two big names aren't in it prominently, that this movie still is so good because of, I mean, let's face it, man, the kills are just gnarly. They're great. And I was going to say, Dan Hicks, who plays Bill, man, his performance is so hammy and so fun that you just get so enjoyment out of watching him.
It's also kind of believable. Like, which is scary. Like, this dude, I could see this dude just snapping.
Right.
Now, granted, the kills were a little overboard. Like, a guy like that would probably use a gun. I don't know if he'd just cut up a bunch of teenagers with meat cutting tools in a supermarket, but he looked like the creepy type. Like, my life has been shit. This market is all I had. You're shutting the market down. I'm just gonna kill everyone.
Right.
So,
which I like, because there's a little bit of foreshadowing in the film where he's, they're sitting around the in the break room and having, like, they're just eating and stuff like that. And he tells the fireman story, which is hilarious, by the way. So there's a little bit of, like, a glimpse into his character that he's not really completely sane. He's just he's kind of telling the story like he's really getting into it, and it just kind of shows what kind of character he is. But I just thought he was I really love his performance in this movie, man. And unfortunately, I've heard that he's actually terminally ill, which is really sad.
that sucks.
Yeah, because I would just love to meet him and just talk to him all day about his performance in this movie. But just found that out too, like a week ago, that he posted that he was I think he had stage 4 cancer. So
God,
yeah, my
sucks,
best wishes to Dan Hicks, man.
I was just looking at his filmography. He played in Darkman, which those movies are great. I haven't seen those movies in a long time, man. He played in Evil Dead 2 as Jake.
He was Jake. Yep, Evil Dead 2.
And apparently he was a train passenger in Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, he gets those. He's definitely one of Sam's guys. Like, Sam will put him in his movie, like, just like Bruce. Like, he'll put him in that movie, and he's one of his guys. So he definitely pops up in his filmography for sure.
That's one thing I was talking to Frosty about a little while ago, when him and I first started sitting down to watch films, and I think we watched Did we watch all the Evil Deads or just 1 and 2?
We watched 1 and 2 back to back, and then we were gonna watch Army of Darkness separate, and then you gave me the remake of Evil Dead to watch, and it sat on my shelf for forever, so we never had a chance to watch it. We just moved on and watched other stuff.
Yeah, but when we first started talking about it, and we were talking about how Sam Raimi did the Spider-Man movies, and you just couldn't believe that Bruce Campbell had starred in every single one of those, which he did.
Yeah.
So I mean, that just goes to show that Sam kind of likes using the same people, and you'll find that throughout horror. A lot of directors use the same people for their films.
Yeah, I'm looking here now. Dan Hicks apparently played in an episode of Ultraman in '93. Hell yeah, Ultraman.
I like Dan Hicks as obviously Bill's character. But I liked it ultimately as the killer, and that's one of the questions I wanted to bring to you guys. What's your thoughts of his portrayal as Bill Roberts? Like, what's y'all's thoughts on like how he was as a killer and stuff? And honestly, I couldn't even see it. The script to me was written so well that I just honestly couldn't even see him being the killer, and then it kind of surprised me towards the end when I first saw it.
Yeah, well, that's something I was gonna bring up too. Is like this movie definitely does the stereotypical, which it was in '89. I thought this movie was older than that, but um, it definitely does that stereotypical thing that slashers do, where it's you think it's this guy is the killer, but really it's this guy, because they kept throwing that one dude out in front, the dude in the leather jacket, who kept like trying to get in the store. He's like the ex-boyfriend or whatever, and you're like, oh, that guy's definitely a killer. But we know better, right? We've been here before. We know that guy wasn't the killer, really.
it's a slasher trope, man. The red herring. They got to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, they got to keep you guessing till the end, and that's just one of many tropes of slasher films that you get. But yeah,
that's what I really liked about Tenebrae, because it was kind of like they gave you two killers, right? Like it changed halfway through the movie. So it kind of kept you guessing, and it was like by the time you thought you figured out who it was, it switches,
Which is just a lot of we definitely got on that conversation and how well done that was. Yeah, it's funny, Frosty, to your point when you said that he, as Dan Hicks, you were saying that, he kind of seems on edge, like he seems like that creep, like that guy that kind of has like, this is my store. I have nothing left. So
yeah,
once you take that from me, I'm just, it's the final straw, and then he's going to snap. And that's what it felt like. Or like he felt like he just snapped. Like he was getting pushed around by the other guy. The other guy was telling him, listen, like, we're selling the store whether you like it or not. You're going along with it, or, it's just going to get done, man. It's going to get done regardless. So, because he even had the point of saying, well, hey, let's put it this way. I can't remember his character's name, but he owns 51% of the store and I own the rest. I mean, so that just goes to show you he's calling the shots, and, I got nothing to say or do about it. So you could tell he was just on edge, and that boom, that's what made him snap. So that to your point, that was a great point of bringing that up. So yeah, I agree. But his character, his performance was believable. His character was believable, and he's definitely, if not for the kills, one of the highlights of the movie is his performance.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yep.
Just looking here at some like fun facts, trivia about the movie. Apparently, the song that Randy, or played by Sam Raimi, sings is also featured in The Evil Dead. So that's kind of cool. Cool little Easter egg there. I love it when directors do that. I'm a big fan of Hideo Kojima. When going back to gaming, he does a lot of that in his games. He will use like Easter eggs from other games and stuff. Which I need to talk to you about that, Tony, because I just watched Escape from New York.
Oh man, I love Escape from New York.
And that's Hideo Kojima, one of, if not the, like, Hideo Kojima's favorite movie. And like he totally modeled Solid Snake after that character.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, he got the model after Snake Plissken, no doubt.
Mm-hmm. But moving on, the head in one hand, sandwich in the other speech was previously used in Raising Arizona. Was that that crazy story that Bill Roberts kept telling?
Yeah, the fireman story, yeah. Which is great. It comes back into play in the movie, so they set it up perfectly. And then there's a there's a scene where he's holding a severed head and eating, I think it's a sandwich. I don't know. It might have been a hamburger. I don't know. But he's eating something. In his other hand, he's swinging the head, and it's just so funny. I love how that came back into play.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So director Scott Spiegel plays a cameo as the ill-fated bread man. He could be seen in a lot of Sam Raimi's work as well. So that kind of goes back to what we were saying, using your guys. It's kind of like Happy Madison, using all the guys,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I kind of wish, I don't know about you guys, but I really wish, and even if it wasn't slasher films, I just wish more horror films used a grocery store setting or like a mall setting. Like the setting is so cool. You just don't see that enough in films and horror films in general. Like this is one of those main ones where they take a grocery store and have it as the prime location. And I just love that, man. It's really cool looking down the aisles and seeing all the, the different products and stuff like that. Like I love the part where they go down the cereal aisle and you see all the different cereals because I mean I'm a kid at heart. I love cereal. So to see that is just so cool. Yeah, all the different old logos and stuff like that. Like I just love the setting, man. I just wish more films utilize that setting.
Yeah, there's something cool about the fact that it's open, but at the same time it's very isolated.
Very
and
isolated.
And I even brought this up to Corey when we were watching it, and I was like, wait, this movie takes place like they're closed, but they're working. And come to find out, the movie, they had to film the movie in an actual grocery store in California after hours. So it's like 11 o'clock at night, and they're just working, filming a movie, filming an 80s slasher film in this grocery store after hours, and they're just working like it's nothing.
Like it's nothing.
when we know that like technically they should be working during the daytime when the store is actually open, because there's no customers in there. But
right,
I don't know. There's one of those like unexplained, one of those unsung things in the movie where it's like, just go with it, But
yeah, that's. Oh, go ahead.
I was actually gonna ask you to if you had anything else to add for now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. I love the fact that they use the setting, the store setting was just perfect. And again, to what you said, this didn't even really come out in like, 81, 82, or, anywhere between 1980 to 1982, where the heyday of slashers, just like Tony says, pretty much like the intro of the slasher film. But that it's really cool because you don't see a setting like this that often, and the fact that they had to use an actual store was just really cool. So you do get the feel, and you do get to see everything. I love the aerial shots too, because you get to see over the whole store. So that's really cool too. But,
no doubt, man. I'm glad you brought that up because there were some really good camera shots in this movie. One in particular, I remember with the girl, the main character, the final girl, if you will. She was sweeping, and you can see she dropped something, and the camera was right underneath the broom, and you can see it sweeping over the camera. And then there was another one inside of a rotary phone. I really like those cool little camera tricks that they were using and the shots that they took. Those were a couple in particular, but I know there was a couple more. I thought that was really, really neat.
Yeah, also to their fault though, there was a couple of scenes where you could see the camera crew.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like there's one here. Was this the same movie we were watching where you could see like the feet of the camera guy like elevated like over one of the door frames? Is that the same movie?
no, I think that was Evil Dead 2, actually, wasn't it?
Yes, that was it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this one, there's even there's a scene in this one where the camera crew and Dolly are reflecting in the glass as they're leaving the office. That's like that's got to be like a Sam Raimi thing. Like he's got to have at least one scene where you can see the camera crew. Like maybe it's a genuine blooper, or maybe it's like maybe he accidentally did it one time and he's like, screw it, let's leave it as like an Easter egg, see if someone notices. And if that's the case, that's freaking awesome.
Yeah, it definitely is, man. I love there's a trope. I noticed it in the movie too. A lot of slasher films have, or a lot of horror films in general, have the cat jump scare. Well, this one had a dog jump scare. So
It did.
It did. I was like, oh wow, that's pretty cool. They didn't use the cat; they used the dog this time. Kudos to them for that.
That's pretty
maybe
neat.
maybe that was a little bit of their foresight involved. I don't know. That was pretty funny.
Who did it scare? Didn't it scare the killer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah. I believe so.
When he was taking out the trash.
Yeah.
He's like, damn dog or something.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, exactly. And I also love the random body parts like that were just showing up around the around the supermarket when they were, right in the middle of
Yeah.
going on. There's just like hands that were wrapped up, and the pig's feet gag. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Another good scene. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying the eyeball in the jar of olives, and when Sam Raimi was eating the olives, he almost grabbed the eyeball and ate it. So,
Oh yeah.
that was pretty cool too. But yeah, there was a lot of random body parts just all over the place. And then you find out that the killer had a lot of time on his hands because he was cutting up everybody and leaving body parts everywhere.
Yeah, apparently.
Which I love because I mean, how do you get away with that with such a small amount of people in a small place?
Really? Yeah, exactly.
It's
Exactly.
really crazy how he was just doing it very incognito.
Very incognito. But there's so many funny moments, man. Like when Ted Raimi's character Produce Joe, when he gets killed, right when he gets knifed in the head, it quick cuts to a sign that says "safety first" with knives and stuff like that.
Yeah. We pointed that out.
Yeah, when the guy is cut in half, he's in a trash can, and it says like it's got the half off sticker on it. It's just like a lot of those little nods and stuff like that were just so cool. Like they were just you could tell they were having a blast making this movie.
Leave it to Cleaver.
Yeah. So many great.
The one-liners too, man. Like that's what gets me, especially when Dan Hicks' character is finally introduced as the actual killer, and like just some of the stuff he says is so crazy.
I'm just crazy about this store.
I'm just crazy about this store.
I guess I got a little carried away. Yeah. Like, no, dude, you got really carried away. You're talking about the body parts like that. There was a cool scene with Produce Joe where as he's going down the little conveyor belt, he's like, his body's together, right? But when he hits the bottom, like all the body parts just fall apart. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, dude, it's so fun. And that song is still damn playing. It just keeps going and going. It just slows down so much, and that's what makes it funny. The fact that they didn't just leave it playing, but the fact that it slowed down, it was just so funny. I just cracked up every time I saw that.
So, little insider baseball here. Corey trolled me hard with this movie because we watched this one, and then immediately we watched Chopping Mall. So I was like, okay, a slasher film that takes place in a mall. I'm game. No, it's killer fucking robots.
You know what's so funny about that, man? Right before we recorded the Tenebrae show, I was watching Chopping Mall. That is so funny.
Whoa.
I can't make that shit up. I was watching Chopping Mall right before we recorded. It's so crazy, man.
That's crazy. That was a good one, though. That was a fun one, too.
I love Chopping Mall, man.
Should we do an episode on Chopping Mall?
I think so, man. Definitely.
You should.
I'm game.
Yeah. Killbot.
Wasn't an actress from this movie in Chopping Mall?
Ooh.
I know Renee Estevez was in Sleepaway Camp 2.
Maybe that's it. That's it. Yeah,
because that's Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez's sister. So yeah, it's pretty crazy, man.
Oh, Dick Miller.
Oh, Dick Miller, yeah.
Rest in peace.
Walter Paisley. He plays Walter Paisley in every movie. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, man. Every time you look up his filmography, it's always Walter Paisley. Every character he played, well, just about, not every one of them.
Wasn't he the janitor that got zapped in that movie?
He got zapped, yeah.
Yeah, that's actually that's the screenshot on IMDb. Oh no,
dude! When I just remember going to meet him, Tony. I think you remember this because I pointed it out. But right behind him, he was selling his book, and right behind him, he had a banner that said, "You don't know Dick."
Oh, man.
Dude, it was great meeting him before he passed, man. He was cool.
God, yeah. I always remember him in Gremlins and The Burbs.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Wow.
So I'm a big Howling fan, so every time I think of him, I think of him in The Howling.
Yeah.
I mean Gremlins too, of course, because I mean Gremlins is like, yeah. That's the one he's known.
He tried to tell everybody.
Yeah. And he's even great in Gremlins too. I love him in Gremlins too.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude.
It was a good one.
Yep, absolutely. I noticed something in Intruder when I was watching it. There's two guys that are working in the store. They look so familiar. I mean, or they look so similar that I would, if I watched it the first time, I probably would get them mixed up all the time. But it's the dude working in the cooler and the guy that got the meat saw through his face. They look so similar, and I'm like, it seems like everybody was wearing flannel in '89 because they were like, it seemed like everybody in the store was wearing flannel. It's crazy. I don't know, man. It's
probably, man, because like everyone was wearing flannel, and then when you hit the '90s, they took their flannel off and they were wrapping it around their waist. That's what we did.
Right. That's when grunge hit. So, yeah, it makes sense. Man.
Exactly.
I thought about it. It makes sense now because grunge came out right after that. So yeah, that was the prelude. Dude, I'm telling you what, man, I love this movie, man. It's so much fun. I loved it from the first time I saw it to the most recent. It's so much fun. I find so much more enjoyment out of it every time I pop it in. And unfortunately, I didn't watch my Synapse Blu-ray because I don't have it with me. But I had to pop in the old DVD. But it was cool watching it that way, kind of, because I had been so used to watching it so cleaned up, and so you know, the audio was great and this and that. So watching it on the DVD kind of threw me back to watching it like almost like a VHS quality. So it kind of put it in a different perspective. Kind of cool watching it that way. I don't know. I had a good time with it though, man. This movie I can't recommend this enough, especially if you love really good kills in your slasher films, man. This is the movie for you. This is the one I would always recommend. So
most definitely, it was a good one. I wouldn't mind having this one for my collection.
Yeah, it's definitely a great one.
No doubt, man.
Like I said, everything about this film is pretty damn good. Actually, the story is phenomenal. It's kind of iconic almost because you don't have anything else like it as far as the storyline. I mean, there's cliche moments, yes, but ultimately, I mean, just the characters getting along so well, and then the setting.
Thanks, Dave.
Daniel's favorite line.
I'm gonna tell you, man. One of my favorite characters was Bub. Bub was great. He was so funny.
That's why I got his head smushed.
Yeah, but I love when he was telling the story about Craig, the guy, the red herring, the guy that's set up to be the killer. But I mean, it's so obvious he's not. But he's telling the story about when he went crazy and he's like, yeah, man, me and Craig were best friends, and he just ever since his dad passed away, he just started losing it. He started going crazy. And I swear, one night we were hanging out, and he could have killed me. And she's like, really? He's like, yeah, he hit me in the head with a blender. And she's like, what? And he's like, it was a Hamilton Beach blender. I don't know, man. Some of the lines that he was just funny. He's like, anal itch got you down. It's great, man. I love his character too, man.
The old comic relief.
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah, actually, I think he's probably my favorite character out of the bunch too.
I mean, and that's just a couple. He had a good couple of funny like lines in that movie that just kept me rolling.
Yeah.
And he screamed like a little bitch as his head got smushed.
So funny. Yeah, it's so funny how they're so powerless against him. They can't move or do anything.
Yeah.
Just has them locked up, and they're just accepting fate at that point. No one fights back or anything.
Oh, no. That is, man. And I talked to Corey about this too. Is like that's one of the things I love about Scream is how they were always pointing out obvious horror movie tropes in the movie, but yet they were falling victim to them constantly. Like Drew Barrymore's character in the beginning of the movie was making fun of dumb blonde bimbos who run upstairs when the killer enters the house, and then when the killer busts in her house, she runs upstairs.
Well, one of the things about Scream that I think was the most genius thing that Wes Craven did was when Jamie Kennedy, who plays Randy, is watching Halloween, and he's talking to Jamie Lee Curtis, her character, and he's saying, Jamie, you know, turn around, turn around, turn around. While he's saying that, his name is actually Jamie. That's the actor's name. And it's like a meta moment where he should be telling himself to turn around because
the killers are behind him. Yeah.
Exactly. I think that was so genius, man. Like, I don't know. Craven was just on a, I mean, and I know that was Kevin Williamson, the screenwriter that came up with that. So I got to give credit to him too. But that was such a great. That's one of my favorite moments from that movie. It's just so smart. It's so smart the way that was written. I think they took. Yeah, that was a really really cool scene. But yeah, man. I don't know, man. This movie, the Intruder. I don't know, man. It's. I'm telling you, if someone said, "So what is this slasher subgenre you're talking about?" If you have any recommendations, I would throw out this one probably before anything else, man. Because if you don't get it with the kills and everything like that, you're probably just not going to like slasher films, honestly. So,
yeah. I guess with that being said, you guys want to land this plane?
Well. First, before we do that, we didn't really bring up. Have you guys watched anything recently?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we jumped right into it, didn't we? So, yeah, we completely forgot we had a segment on the show. Where we talk about movies we picked up, movies we watched. Corey, you want to kick this off?
Yeah, actually, I kind of went with Tony's recommendation the other day. I popped in Bloodfest. It's yeah, really good film actually. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Um, it's just a quick little film. It pays a lot of homage to horror films, and there's a lot of cliche moments in it. And honestly, it's just a fun little film to sit down and watch. And that's pretty much all I'm going to say about it right now because I don't want to go too in depth with it. But it's definitely a good film. The rewatch is definitely there for me. I would definitely rewatch it again. Tony, you've said you've seen it. What's your thoughts?
oh man, I saw it. I haven't seen it since it came out, so I'm a little bit hazy on it. Because I know I went to see another movie. Actually got to see it in theaters, which is pretty cool, called Health Fest. And they kind of like blend a little bit together. Not saying that the movies are very similar, but the fact that it's taking place in like a horror festival, and there's a lot of horror themes and stuff being thrown around. So they're kind of like fading a little bit for me, like because what goes on in this one versus what goes on in that one, because I haven't seen them both since they came out. But I remember it being a fun little like horror comedy, like pretty good on the comedy side, and characters were interesting. But I need to check that one out again, man. It's like I said, it's been since I saw it when it first came out, so I'm a little hazy on it. But I remember it being fun.
Yeah, it was definitely a fun little ride. But yeah, as far as any pickups that I actually got, my horror pack actually came in this week. It kind of came in early. It was supposed to come in Monday, but it seems like it's been coming in about 2 days early. Um, and the Belko experiment came in that one,
Oh man,
along with Cruel Will, Insidious, and Priest and Legion came in it. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, Belko experiment was definitely an awesome one to get in that one.
Belko's fun.
Yeah, you introduced me to that one.
Yeah, that was a fun one. Yeah, that was a fun one, man. It pairs well with a movie called Mayhem too, which Steve Yeun, the guy that plays Glenn in Walking Dead, he's the lead in that movie. So those two movies pair well together if you watch them together, like office horror kind of thing.
Yeah, I've
Like
been
it's
wanting
really
to check that one
really
out.
cool. Yeah, that's a really good double feature, man.
All right, right on. But yeah, what about you guys? You guys watch anything? Bought anything?
Well, like I said earlier, I've been watching Tremors. I'm gonna, either tonight or tomorrow. I'm gonna sit down and watch the fourth one, and then go ahead and knock the rest of those out. And maybe we could do like a in-depth discussion of those, because those are fun films. They really are. Um, I picked up Escape from New York, special
Last.
edition, at the flea market. There's some old gentleman at the flea market. He's been there a while. He's in like the very back at the Barnyard Flea Market, and he's got random stuff. Like he's got toys, new and old. He's got books, and he's got a table laid out of just movies, and like they're all in really good shape. And might have a ding here and there on some of the cases, but had like some good ones up there, man. And that was just sitting there, $3. I picked it up.
Wow.
And went to another table. A lady had movies out, and I didn't really see anything that really stood out to me or anything. Then I looked over, and she had like a little mini shelf that was like kind of tucked away on another table. And at the very bottom was the Alien quadrilogy DVD collection, the box set.
Oh, nice, dude.
And I pulled it out, and I was like, "You mind if I take a look?" And like, this thing there's 4 discs for just the movies. This Alien 1 through 4, of course. And then there's like a disc for each for special features. So then we're looking like 8 or 9 discs. And so I'm folding this thing out, and it's so long. I'm having to move stuff off her table just to look at it, And I kind of take some of the disc out and look, and it's perfect edition. Just a couple dings on the case. $5. I bought this from this woman.
Oh, nice.
So
Steal.
Can't beat that, man. That's a steal.
Yeah, no, I was pretty happy about that. And after that, I went to my mom and dad's market that they own. And there's a gentleman in there that sells antiques, and he has a little shelf of movies. And I ended up buying 3 10 to Yuma from him for like $2 to go in my Western collection.
Nice,
So,
dude.
That was a pretty good one. So that's I think that's about it. Oh well, I did as the listeners know, I'm a huge fan of martial arts films. I did watch a movie called Flashpoint. It's a Donnie Yen film. Kind of, the first half of the movie is kind of slow. A lot of character development, a lot of story. And then like towards the end of the movie, it's a lot of action and a lot of good action. And it's probably one of the coolest like ending scenes in a martial arts movie I've seen in a while. Like it starts off with this like really crazy gunfight, and then goes into like a 1v1 final fight between like the main baddie and Donnie Yen, and it's just brutal. It's just a really, really good scene. So that was a pretty cool one. But that's been me.
What about you, Tony?
No, funny you mentioned it, man. I haven't picked up anything this week, but today I was out. I had to go to Walmart to grab a couple things, and I just went over to the movie section, kind of see what they had in, and actually picked up my first 4K. Yeah, no joke, man. It started. But yeah, I picked up a film called VFW, which I've been just so excited to watch because it's a new Joe Begos film, and Joe Begos is like, man, I'm telling you, he's going to be with these upcoming horror directors, he's going to be up there as one of the top echelon with guys like Robert Eggers and see the guy who directed oh man, his name's escaping me right now. The guy that directed Hereditary, God Almighty, I can't, for some reason his name is escaping me. But yeah, he's getting up there as one of the great, more modern horror directors of our time, and he's directed movies like Bliss, which was really, really fun, really, really crazy. Corey, I know me and you've seen Almost Human. He directed that one. Yeah. He directed a movie called The Mind's Eye. So this was his new film, and he's just got a really cool cinematography, especially lately with these new movies he's been putting out. His cinematography is very, very colorful and very lush almost. So I'm definitely looking forward to checking this one out. It's got an all-star cast, man. It's got Stephen Lang William Sadler, Martin Cove, and Fred Williamson. I mean, so that just goes to show you, man, this movie's got a lot of heavy hitters in it. So I picked that up. It was only like $10 for 4K. So I was like, man, you can't beat that as a steal. So I grabbed that, and I picked up a movie called We Summon the Darkness. I picked up the Blu-ray. It looks pretty cool. It's strangely enough, it's got Johnny Knoxville in it. So that's gonna be kind of interesting. And he's playing more of a serious role in this one. He's actually playing a preacher in this one, which is pretty funny.
Dude, BFW looks awesome. We need
Dude,
to watch this.
I cannot wait to watch it, man. It's like a siege film, and I love siege films. So I'm really down. And I heard it's gory as hell, and it's just insane. So I'm really looking forward to watching that, man. And We Summon Darkness. This is more like a blind buy. I don't really know much about it, but it looks cool. It's got an interesting premise. So I definitely snagged that up. But those are the only two things I picked up, man. Oh no, I went to. It's not really horror, but I went to Second and Charles today also, and was just tooling around in there. And I watch a lot of Red Letter Media, and they just did a review on a film called Ed Wood. So I'm like, man, I have to watch Ed Wood. So I picked that up. I picked the DVD up. It was only like $5. So I picked that up, and yeah, I can't wait to finally finish checking that one out and seeing how. I mean, so far so good. I'm enjoying the hell out of it. It's really funny. But yeah, those are only 3 things I picked up this week, man.
Oh.
Stephen Lang was in another movie that Corey watched recently for the first time, Tombstone.
Tombstone, yeah, Tombstone's awesome, dude.
Like, Corey's first time watching, he's like, I've never seen that movie. So I went out and bought that movie, and we had a movie night and watched it.
Yeah, Tombstone's great, man.
It's an American classic, man. Like,
it's got my boy Kurt Russell in it, man. Any movie with Kurt Russell in, I'll watch. I don't care what it is. He can do whatever. I'll watch him.
He's a badass, man.
He's one of those guys, man.
Yeah, all his movies are good too. Like, he has good movies.
He really does, man. He surrounds himself with a lot of good people, like as far as directors and stuff like that. Like he's right now he's doing a lot of stuff with Tarantino. So like it's just to show you, he hooks up with a lot of like guys that know what they're doing, know the craft. So and that director's name was Ari Aster. That's the other guy I was thinking of. Ari Aster, Robert Eggers, and then Joe Begos. Those 3 guys, and Mike Flanagan too. Those 4 guys are like the new name of horror. Like they're just knocking it out of the park with their output. So anything that those guys put out, seek it out, man, because it's going to be good.
Yeah, I've been really thinking about VFW lately, so I'm probably going to end up jumping on that one soon.
I'm telling you, dude, for the 4K, $10, man, you can't beat that, dude. That's a steal.
I don't know if I'm going to pull the trigger right now in 4K though.
But that's the good thing about it, Corey. It's a combo pack, so it's got the Blu-ray in it too.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So it gives me time. It gives me time to upgrade. When I finally upgrade to 4K, that could be the first one I got. So pretty cool, man.
It's smart that they do that.
Oh yeah, definitely is, man. I'm surprised they're still doing Blu-ray DVD combos. I thought DVD would be phased out by now, but they're still doing it.
Yeah.
Still holding on to hope, man.
Yeah.
Basically. Hanging on by a thread, though.
You know, that's all right.
That's 3 things I got, man.
Right on.
I think we need to organize a movie hunt, fellas.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Movie hunt, movie night. Same day.
Definitely game for that.
Yeah, that's gonna definitely happen soon.
Oh yeah, dude.
Well, Daniel, you want to end this?
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, you have just listened to the Midnight Monster Corner podcast. We appreciate it. Don't forget, if you're listening on our only outlet at the moment, YouTube, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We would greatly appreciate that. If you like horror movies, if you like movies in general, we hope that you continue to listen to us. We got a lot of content coming your way. I know these guys love horror movies, so I've always been a big fan of cinema. I've always loved horror movies. Might not be as knowledgeable as these guys, but I think I can hold my own, right?
No, absolutely, man.
But yeah, we hope that you would continue to listen to us. We'll have a good time here and share, what we know about movies and commentary and such. But if you like podcasts in general, if you like video games, check my other podcast out, the Loot Bros podcast on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and Spotify. So yeah, you can find me there as well. Find me on Twitter, PG Frosty. You can find me on Instagram at the PG Frosty. Tony, you got any socials you want anybody to check you out at? I mean, I don't know if you got Instagram or.
Oh no, man! I don't have any Instagram or Twitter or anything like that. I got Facebook, but I'm barely on it, so I really don't have. I'm really not the biggest social media guy at all. So
Facebook is a terrible place to be right now.
It really is, man. It really is. I'm not even on it. I haven't used Facebook in a minute, so it's just a super bummer, man. Everything's always negative, so it's like, kind of just turns me on. I'm more in it for like the groups, like of course the podcast group and just DVD, Blu-ray collectors groups and stuff like that. But other than that, I don't really frequent the social medias too much. But yeah, I'm definitely on it for the podcast though, for sure.
Okay. Speaking of podcast groups, we do have a podcast group on Facebook. Just go to facebook.com and type in the Midnight Monster Corner podcast. I believe it is a closed group, but ask nicely. We will let you in and come hang out with us. Leave us questions. Show us your collections. We would love to have you guys be a part of the discussion. Anything else to add, gentlemen?
Yeah, that's like I said, or like you said, just get on there and honestly, if you guys have any ideas for upcoming episodes, we would greatly appreciate those. We'll get them out there to you guys. We'll do that for you. Another thing I wanted to say, along with the Loot Bros podcast, I definitely wanted to say thank you to you, Daniel, and Daryl as well for kind of plugging us out there as well. We appreciate it, and we'll just keep on trying to get each other out there, keep on rolling.
Yeah, definitely. We've always prided ourselves in being like community driven. So, if you've got content you want to share, we'll share it. Like I got a couple of buddies of mine who are big like Twitch streamers. They go in the group and post their stuff, to kind of get their name out there. We love that because, it's like we help you out, you help us out, and then that's how the community grows. So we're not in it to be selfish. I mean, it is our hobby. We love doing it, and we love meeting people and talking to people about video games and movies and nerdom, if you will. So, we'll continue to do that. So, also, you do movies reviews, Corey, on the YouTube. I know you haven't put one out in like a week.
Yeah, I've been kind of slack.
Just been a busy man. So definitely, if you're following us on the YouTube, not only you're going to get episodes of the podcast, but you're also going to get movie reviews from Corey himself. So, and eventually I'm going to, once I stop being slack, I'm going to start putting out some videos. Might not necessarily be strictly horror. Might throw in some martial arts videos in there. Like top 10 Jackie Chan movies. I've been watching a lot of Jackie Chan movies lately. But with all that being said, we appreciate it, and we will see you guys next week.
Yep. Later.
Yeah, later, man. Later.